Several years ago, back when I had an active investigation team, my partner and I had decided to walk out into the woods to an old house that was abandoned several years prior. The road that led to the house was a long one and had not been traveled in quite some time. Due to no one keeping up with the area, everything was wild and wildly overgrown. We had decided it would be best if we parked my car on the side of the highway and walked the entire rest of the way, which was about 1/10 of a mile off the road. After we had parked, we grabbed whatever gear we were taking with us, and so, we started our journey. We were about 200 yards into the drive, when my partner let out a yelp. Irritated, I said, "What the f*** are you doing?" She replied with, "Something grabbed my f***ing arm." I figured she had gotten her shirt hung up on a tree limb, or something like that. I looked at her, rolled my eyes, and kept on walking. When we finally got to about 150 feet of the house, a really loud bang shot through the area. It sounded like someone was hitting something inside the house with a sledgehammer. We stopped walking and looked at each other. I kind of shrugged and started toward the house again. And again, the same as before, the loud bang. Before I could turn and say anything, my partner said, "Let's go. We gotta go." So we turned and headed back to the car. The entire time we were walking and talking, I had a digital voice recorder running. And the entire way to the house and back to the car, it picked up several voices, besides our own. There was hissing, whispering, and the sounds of hushed conversations. But, at the exact moment she was supposedly grabbed, there was an angry male voice that came across the recorder. The following day, as I was working on reviewing all of the footage, pictures, EVPs, and such, my partner came over. She said, "Check this shit out," and laid her arm out on the table next to me. There was a bruise, and it was almost the size of the Pepsi can that was sitting next to her. I said, "What's that about?" She said, "That's where it grabbed me." I kind of felt bad for not believing her when she told me something had grabbed her. After this incident, I definitely started to cut her a little slack when she would say these kind of things had happened to her. So, as I mentioned before, I was a co-founder of a paranormal research team. My partner and myself had decided to unofficially check out a cemetery that several people had told us about. We arrive, get our cameras and voice recorders ready to go, and begin the long stroll across the lawn. We were walking down a dense row of cedar trees, and we were talking, snapping pictures, and recording as was our usual beginning. As we stepped past the end of the line of trees, I looked up and noticed what looked like a marble statue of a man, standing on top of an old concrete pedestal. As my partner took another step, I saw the man's head turn to face us. She was mid-stride when the man came off the pedestal and came running toward us. I yelled, "Oh shit," grabbed her arm, and ran for my life back to the car. As we were trying to get in the car, something huge came crashing through the trees toward us. Now, when I say huge, I mean these trees were over 40 feet tall, and the tops of them were swaying, like a tornado was on the verge of relocating them, on this clear sunny evening. We literally threw our equipment, which was still running, in the car, shut and locked the doors, and hauled it out of there. She was saying a prayer of protection, as I drove like a maniac out of there. When we got home, and were reviewing the footage and the voice recordings, we heard her reciting the prayer for protection, and we heard another deep, gravelly voice talking. It was in the car with us. Clearly the hedge of protection was in full effect while we were running for our lives. I was laying in bed one night, sleeping soundly, when I was awakened by a very familiar sound. A very low, deep growl, about 1.5 feet from my face. I was very tired, and not thinking very clearly, so I said, "Spaghetti, shut up." Spaghetti was a little dog that we'd had. Just as the words left my mouth, I realized that he wasn't with us anymore. As the realization set in, my entire bed shook, like someone had shoved it really hard. Then all was quiet. Suffice it to say, I was over the whole idea of sleep for the rest of the night. If you have a scary story, and would like to hear it on this channel, submit it to sinisterfido@gmail.com.